Welcome back. Another episode of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Alex Meacham, former UC basketball player from 1997 to 1999 under the legendary coach Bob Huggins, and was fortunate enough to wear the iconic Jordan brand unis during my time. You can follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Alex_Meacham. Meacham is spelled M-E-A-C-H-A-M. And we are live here at Mio's in Clifton. Shout out to Kelly and Rich, the owners, who are not here today, but if we give a round of applause to Kelly and Rich. Now we will be here 2 hours before every home game, every UC Bearcat basketball home game. And I believe we have 7 more home games left after this home game. So you can come here 2 hours before, and we'll always have a special guest. So far we've had Keith Greger, Deontay Vaughn, Zach Tobler, Corey Blunt, Art Long, Donald Little, and Yancey Gates. Now next week, next guest will be Tony Bobbitt.
Ooh.
So, yeah, get your popcorn ready. He said, woo. The Bearcat Basketball Podcast is now presented by the Healthcare Management Group. Shout out to everyone at HCMG, and thank you for your support. Bearcat fans, I'm excited to welcome in this next guest. He played for the Bearcats from 1988 to 1990. He was recruited by and played for the late, great Tony Yates and finished his career with Bob Huggins. He was one of the original big guards at 6'5" and was a huge part of the jump start to the Bearcats' dominance in college basketball under Bob Huggins. I'd like to welcome in my guy, number 4, Andre Tate. What up, Tate?
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Now, tell everybody here, there's something that I didn't know that you just showed me prior to us going on. Will you tell them about your son?
My son is a 6'3" point guard. He's from Chicago. Played at Simeon High School with Jabari Parker, Kendrick Nunn, and Taylor Horton Tucker, who plays for the Lakers. He just signed probably about a month ago with the Golden State Warriors.
Wow. That's incredible. And I did not know that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And if you could tell everybody about what you're up to, your family, and how things are going.
Well, I'm coaching now. I'm at Wynwoods High School. I'm in my 4th year at Wynwoods High School. Prior to that, I was at Cincinnati State, the head coach there for 12 years. So the high school thing I just got into, so it's a little different than the college, but it's been fun. Got 4 kids, 3 girls and one boy.
Okay.
So
tell us about the boy. Tell us about the girls.
The girls, Crystal is she's my youngest one. She just turned 22 on Christmas Day.
Okay.
Taylor, she lives in Los Angeles. She's one of the top models in the country.
Top models?
She's a model, yeah.
Okay.
She's a model. And then I got Kyra, who works at Chicago. She works for the Chicago Bulls.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you have a very accomplished family. I didn't know your daughter was a model.
Yes.
So that's awesome. And,
Yes.
and a son playing. So you've done great things as a father. So
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try.
let's talk a little bit about Wynwoods. What year is this for you at Wynwoods?
4.
4. Year 4. How are you enjoying high school basketball?
I'm loving it. It took me a while to get adjusted back to the high school because I've been at the junior college level so long. But it's been fun, man. The only thing that I got to get used to is not recruiting.
Yeah.
So-called not recruiting.
Right.
So
right.
It's, but it's been fun, man. For the last 4 years, my first year there, we went to the district finals. So I had a pretty good team that year. This year, I got some younger kids, so we're on the upswing right now.
Do these kids that you've coached thus far at Wynwoods, do they know about your basketball career?
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
Yeah. My coaches make sure they let them know.
Because they need to know that, and they need to respect that you're giving them knowledge, and you're not just somebody walking off the street coaching them. You're a very accomplished basketball player.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I get on them and I talk to them about certain things. So they kind of look at me and say, "Coach, you old." I said, "No, I wasn't old when I played with the Bearcats."
Yeah, show them video.
Yes.
Definitely show them the video. Let's talk. You were talking about your coaching career. What got you into coaching?
Larry Harrison.
Okay. Who's with West Virginia right now?
Who's with West
Coach
Virginia,
Huggins?
who was the assistant coach here when I played. He was at DePaul at the time, and I was working out at Domino's Pizza at the distribution.
Okay.
And Hugs and them had always told me that I needed to get into coaching. And Larry, I was living in Connecticut, and I told Larry I was about to move to Chicago. I said, me and my wife was about to move to Chicago. So I want to get into coaching. So so that was 2000. That was 1999. And he told when I moved to Chicago, he hooked me up with Lincoln Park High School, which is on the north side of Chicago, right by DePaul.
Okay.
And so that was my first high school job as assistant.
Okay.
Yes.
How'd that go?
Went pretty good. I think my first year that we went to the Final Four for the city championship. And then actually after that, my second year, I ended up coaching at Phillips High School in Chicago as a head coach, and it kind of took off from there.
And for most people that don't know, Chicago basketball, and we've talked about this before, Andre, Chicago basketball is some of the greatest basketball in the country.
Yes.
You know, if you look at, New York gets a lot of praise for the players that come out of New York. They're known for street ball. When you look at California, the state of California, I think there are more players playing professionally in the NBA and overseas that come from the state of California. But what most people, I think, don't realize is how impactful and how many great players have come out of Chicago.
I played against a lot of them. Tim Hardaway, Nick Anderson, Marcus Liberty.
Yep.
So I played against a lot of those great players that ended up making it to the league. So yeah, it was fun playing against those guys.
What is it about Chicago basketball? Is it the mix of the competitiveness on street ball, and then you've got the great high school? Is it a mix of the two?
I think it's a mixture of that and also the toughness, the grittiness. We come out of there, we're gonna be gritty, we're gonna be tough.
Absolutely.
We're gonna talk. So.
Were you a big trash talker?
Yes, I was.
that comes with it.
It comes with the territory, yes.
Now you and I have known each other for a long time. So we go all the way back to when you were playing for the Bearcats. I was a ball boy.
Yes.
And I will never forget this story. I don't know if I ever told you this story. But big game, you guys are getting ready to play, and being a ball boy, I have to be there early. I've got to rebound and do different things for the other team. And I can't remember who we were playing, like if it was a Louisville or it was a big conference game, a Memphis or somebody. And the opposing team was talking so much trash about us. And I'm hearing all this. So you guys come out to do your warm-up, and I see you, and I see Lou, and I tell you guys, hey, they were talking, and you looked at Lou, you looked at me, you said, we got this. And you guys won that game. I will never forget that.
Elliot Perry?
Man.
Elliot Perry. He was special.
He was tough.
He was special.
Definitely, man. Those were, what was that, what conference was that?
Metro.
The Metro.
Metro Conference. All the big guards was in that conference. That's the reason I came to Cincinnati. I come from a junior college, and when Tony Yates was recruiting me, and this first thing he showed me, he said, this is a big guard conference. You excel in this conference. And I said, it's close to home. Let's go.
Yeah. And I do want to dive into shortly. I want to talk a little bit about the recruiting process and how you ended up into the Bearcats. Another thing that I want everybody to know out here, there are very few people that I share a birthday with. My birthday's May 12th, so you can start saving up for gifts and stuff. My birthday's May 12th. Andre Tate's birthday is May 12th.
Yes, it is.
One that we share a birthday. One of the few people that I don't know many people. Do you?
Nope.
We gotta have like a joint. We gotta have like a joint
we
party.
Definitely, man. We gotta do it.
I'm with
we
that.
Gotta put it together.
We'll do it in Fifth Third Arena.
Yes.
Get the guys together.
Yes, let's do that.
So tell everyone a little bit. I want to step back again and talk about your coaching career. I want to talk a little bit about Cincinnati State, how you ended up at Cincinnati State. And I remember when you were at Cincinnati State, I would come over quite a bit and watch your team. You had some of the guys that played my program, and you seem to enjoy your time at Cincinnati State. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Well, just talking about it a few seconds ago about Coach Larry Harrison hooking me up with the job in Chicago. Me and my wife, she was from Cincinnati. She wanted to move back to Cincinnati. So after about 3 years, I said, okay, we can move, but we'll move back to Cincinnati. So we ended up moving back. So I told Huggins, hey, Huggins, I'm coming back home. I need a job. And so when I got home, Cincinnati State job was open. So I said, Huggins, I want to get there. I want to try to get in on that job. So Huggins made a few phone calls. I interviewed for the job, and another local guy that was a high school coach around here, he's been a legend around here as far as a coach, he was also going for the job. I interviewed for it, he interviewed for it, they ended up giving it to him. So they liked my interview so much, they called me and said he wanted to interview me. So he ended up interviewing me and ended up liking me as well and ended up hiring me as his assistant coach.
Okay.
So that's how I ended up getting there. The first year goes along, we have a pretty decent year. The head coach, who was the head coach at the time, and the athletic director kind of got into it a little bit. He fired him. And he ended up, I'm at work. I was working at, what high school? I was at Cape High School. Remember the old Cape?
Okay.
I was at the old Cape High School working. I was a substitute teacher at the time. The AD calls me and said, hey, it's a job opening here at Cincinnati State. And I'm like, huh? He was like, yeah. He's like, I just let such and such go. I said, oh, did you? He said, would you be interested in the job? I said, I would be, but I'd like to think about it. Because I wanted to have time to go call Coach and see what was going on and get his blessings before I agreed on anything.
Sure. That's smart.
So I ended up calling Coach, and Coach like, man, do what's best for you and your family. And I ended up accepting the job, and I was there 12 years.
Wow.
12 years. Good run. We had a good run at Cincinnati State.
Run.
We had a great run at Cincinnati State.
Who were some of the players I might recognize that you coached?
Well, I know you'll recognize John Williamson.
That's one I wanted you to say.
He was one of the best players to probably come out of Cincinnati State, from what I hear. I had Rayshawn Goins, who ended up playing at St. Bonaventure, who's from out of Cleveland. Jay Millen, who's a local kid out of Cincinnati. But over the years, man, I probably sent about 34 kids to 40 kids Division I.
Wow.
You know, Division II area. So it was fun, man. It was fun.
And then you had a stint being an assistant with the Bearcats?
Yes, with Mick Cronin.
Yes.
He got the job. He called me. Brought me on as the video coordinator, which was fun. I didn't like it too much because I've always felt like, man, I'm a coach. I want to be on the floor coaching and teaching. So I stayed for a couple years. And Cincinnati State job came back open again.
And you went back?
I went back. So it was my second tour of duty at Cincinnati State.
And then how long were you at Cincinnati State the second go-around?
8 years.
Wow. Okay.
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then?
And then that's when I ended up coming. Cincinnati State ended up closing. They ended up getting rid of all the sports programs. In 2017.
Yep.
That was our last year going. We went nationals that year. So we ended it on a good note. But from 2017, when they ended it, that's when I ended up at Wynn-Woods High School.
Gotcha.
As an assistant coach the first year. I was assistant coach with David Lumpkin, who was the head coach at the time.
Yeah. Nice. What's in the future, coaching? You gonna stay in high school for a while?
Actually, I'm looking to get back on the college level. I wouldn't mind getting back on the college level. So right now I'm just weighing my options and seeing and focusing on my high school stuff right now. But college, I would love to get back into the college. You know,
a lot of the guys that I talk to that are former players that get involved in coaching, they really love recruiting.
That's what I love to do.
What is it about recruiting for you?
I just like I like going into homes. I like going into the players' homes and telling them how good our program is and what we can do for them, and hopefully they can come in and help us get to where we need to get.
Yeah.
So recruiting is fun, man. It's no fun on the high school level when you can't recruit.
Right.
So you kind of got to take what's in the building I like going to get the players that I like.
And it's almost a game within a game because you've got the game where you compete against another team on the court, but then you're competing against other teams recruiting-wise.
Yes.
So you're trying to win multiple battles.
Always. You always in the grind trying to outdo the next guy.
Yeah.
You're always trying to pull in that next great player. And I've had some battles over the years with some teams in our league, but it's been fun, man. We've had a lot of talent come through here. Very proud of what we did at Cincinnati State. Too bad it closed because we had a lot more to offer.
We had a great run. Now, speaking of recruiting, let's talk about your recruiting. Okay. Let's take it back to Chicago. And by the way, speaking of Chicago, it is so cold in Cincinnati right now. But for a guy from Chicago, you probably don't think this is cold.
It's summertime.
I will never forget this story. So I drive to Chicago with a friend of mine. Michael Jordan is playing for the Bulls, and I want to go to a game. So we drive all the way to Chicago, and I've been to Chicago, but not in the dead of winter. So we park, and I can't remember where we parked. We had to walk to, I believe at the time it was the United Center.
Yes.
So we have to walk, and we parked pretty far away. I'm going to tell you, we stopped probably 8 times.
The wind?
Like the wind, we stopped at McDonald's, took a breather, started walking a little bit more, ducked into something else, took a breather. And my buddy Damon Martin was with me. I'll never forget. We're not going to make it to this game. It is you would spit, and before it hit the ground,
frozen. Freeze.
It was too much. I've never experienced cold like that in my life.
I've experienced the coldest I've ever experienced in Chicago. It probably was one time. I went to go watch Corey Blunt play when he was with the Bulls.
Okay.
So it was me, Terrence Gibson, Allen Jackson, Eric Martin, Herb Jones. We all went to the Bulls game on this particular day, and I'm talking about it's below zero. In the same situation, we had to park. We didn't know where our tickets was at. So we parked, where we parked at was like maybe 2 blocks away from where we had to get our tickets.
Yeah.
And we froze our butts off, man. It was free. That's the coldest I ever felt in Chicago.
Yeah. Now, you being from Chicago, you're a Cubs fan, I'm assuming.
No doubt.
100%.
Cubbies.
From the birth till now.
Cubbies.
Okay. And football-wise, you're not a diehard Bears. You're a Cowboys fan.
How about them Cowboys?
I can't speak on that. How'd you become a Cowboys fan? Well, and growing up in Chicago, where the Bears are like, that's like being in Cincinnati and a Bengals. There's such a attachment to the Bears being from Chicago.
Well, I started off loving the Bears when they had Walter Payton.
Man, sweetness.
Sweetness. It was one Thanksgiving day, though. I think it was on Thanksgiving. You know how the football games come on Thanksgiving? Yep. And I was a little kid at the time, and the Cowboys was on.
Was that like the Cowboys-Redskins game?
Yes.
Yes.
And the only thing that I saw as a little kid was that star on the helmet.
Yeah.
And all the trick plays they used to do. That drew me in. So I've been a Cowboys fan since I was probably about 5 or 6.
Die hard. And before we got on the podcast, you predicted that the Cowboys are going to win.
I said we're going to get to the NFC
Championship.
NFC Championship.
You're going to get there.
We're going to get there.
Will you win it?
Depends on how Dak plays. We waiting on Dak. If we need Dak to step it up a little bit more.
If you're waiting on Dak, then good luck. Good luck with that. So let's take it back to your Chicago days. You're playing high school basketball in Chicago. One of the better players in Chicago.
Yeah.
So most kids that are seniors in high school, they're being recruited and going to the next level. What was your process from high school basketball to college? Because you went to junior college, correct? We'll talk about that process.
Well, like I tell my kids now, especially when you're a freshman, I think what hurt me, my 4 years of high school was my freshman year. I didn't take school seriously.
Right.
My first year as a freshman, and it kind of hurt me when I got to become a senior, when I became a better basketball player.
Because you said that you didn't take academics.
I didn't take academics serious.
And so you felt like that impacted you the rest of your high school?
Yes, because I wasn't going to be able to go to a Division I.
Gotcha.
Because of my grade, my GPA was low, my grades were low. So I ended up going to a community college first. I ended up going to Coffeyville Community College in Kansas. That was my first school I went to. Didn't like it out there the first year. I finished the year out, transferred back home to Kankakee Community College.
Say that again.
Kankakee Community.
Kankakee. You went from
Coffeyville.
You had a cup of coffee at Coffeyville, and then went to
Kankakee Community College. Transferred there, and happy I transferred there because we ended up making it to the national championship. We went to the national championship game that year. Ended up coming up short. We ended up losing by 1 point to Hutchinson, where the tournament is usually hosted. The home team won it. They beat us in the championship game.
A little home cooking?
Yeah, a little home cooking.
Yeah,
you know.
That happens.
I ended up, we were down one. Probably we called a timeout, probably about 10 seconds to go. Coach draws up a play. And I ended up getting the last shot for the game. And it was in, as close as you can go all the way through, and bobbled out for the win. It was a three. We were down 2, and we were going for the win. He set up a play to shoot a 3.
Yeah.
And we ended up losing by 2 points to Hutchinson Community College.
So the recruiting process when you were in junior college, how'd you end up at Cincinnati?
Well, the late, great, Turner, Coach Turner.
Yeah.
Who used to be at Cincinnati for Yates.
I do.
Turner, actually it wasn't Turner. I take that back. It was Coach Dudley. Dudley left after my first year. After he recruited me, he came back that summer he ended up going somewhere else. But he ended up recruiting me for Cincinnati from Kankakee. That year I had a lot. That year we went, like I said, we went to the national title. We went to the title game. I had a lot of people recruit me, but
who were some of the schools recruiting you?
Providence, Villanova, all the MAC schools. All the MAC schools was recruiting me. Wake Forest, Kansas State, they was recruiting me. But when Cincinnati came into the picture, I just felt like it was closer to home. I'd already been away from home, far away from home. I said, well, I want to go somewhere where it's close. And like I said, it was a big guard league at the time. So I said, I'm going to Cincinnati.
And if you could say a few words, Tony Yates was your coach when you got here with the Bearcats, and Tony Yates passed away. If you could say a few words about Coach Yates and your thoughts on him as a person.
Tony Yates was a great guy. He was a great person. He'd do anything in the world for you if it was needed. It was very sickening when I heard, that he passed away. Me and Tony kind of fell out a little bit toward the end of his career, his tenure as the coach, when Huggins came in, because I guess he felt like the guys kind of turned their back on him a little bit when they was trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case, and as we got older, and I talked to Tony probably about 10 years after that. I kind of told him how I felt about his situation, and we kind of worked through that. But Tony was a great guy, man. He was a great recruiter, and he was the reason I was here. He's the reason I came to Cincinnati, and I still live here now.
And you're right. He recruited some guys.
He was a dog.
And a lot of guys from Chicago.
Yeah, he recruited a lot of guys on the Illinois team.
Because he was at Illinois, correct, as an assistant?
Yeah, with Lou Henson. Him and Lou Henson was together, yeah.
Because it was you, Ramel
Shorter, Roger McClendon.
Raj,
Roger McClendon, Lavertus Robinson, Kevin Williams. Remember Kevin Williams?
Yes.
Yep.
That was a good run getting guys out of Chicago.
Yeah. He had a good run at it.
Now, you come to the Bearcats. Your first year, you wore number 30?
Yeah, I was number 30.
Why is that?
I like Kenny Smith. Kenny Smith was one of my favorite players in college.
Absolutely.
When he played in North Carolina, I absolutely loved Kenny Smith. He was one of my favorite players.
Kenny the Jet. He was a bad boy.
Bad man.
Talk a little bit about your first year, some of the guys you played with. We said Lou Banks, Keith Starks.
Lavertus Robinson.
Big Ced, right?
Big Ced. I just saw Big Ced the other day. Big Cedric Glover.
How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's out at Fairfield, Cadillac.
Yeah, if you need a Cadillac, go see Cedric Glover.
If you need a Cadillac, go see Cedric Glover at Fairfield Cadillac. But Said was the guy here when we got here, when I got here. And actually, me and Said, we was kind of laughing the other day about, I remember Yates. Yates told us it was during the game, and Yates used to always tell us, if we don't get Said the ball, you won't be playing. So we laughed about that the other day because I laughed at Lou Banks. I told you I talked to Lou Banks now. Lou Banks, Keith Starks, Lavertus Robinson, Elnardo Givens.
Yes,
remember that name?
I do. Was he from Lexington originally?
He's from Lexington. All those guys, we was all starting. And what happened was they didn't want to throw him the ball. So we ended up going to play Miami. We was up in Oxford playing Miami. He calls out the starting lineup. Those three guys were sitting. And it was because they wouldn't throw the ball to Said. He wanted Said to touch the ball every
time.
Possession. He got to go through him before we even get a shot. We used to call him the black hole.
But was that because Tony came from the Big Ten?
He come from the Big Ten.
And that was the style of play.
That was his style, pound the ball inside. We ran a lot of box sets where we can throw it into the post.
Yep.
Yes.
Sed's a great guy. I need to get him on the podcast.
Love Sed, man. Sed, good guy.
Absolutely.
Big Grizzly.
Now, your first year, you obviously established yourself as a scorer. Your first year averaging 11 points a game. How was that transition coming from JUCO ball to college ball to Division I level with the Bearcats?
It was a lot different. And probably the thing that helped me is I did play at the junior college level, so I had a little bit. I knew a little bit coming in on the Division I level because I played against some great players in the junior college level. But it was tough. It was tough getting used to. The physicality was a lot different. The speed was a lot different. But once I got adjusted, I was fine. I got in, and like you said, I averaged 11 points my first year. So it ended up turning out pretty good for me my freshman, my junior year.
Now, growing up watching you, one thing that I always remember about you as a player is being a high IQ guy on the court. Where'd you get that high basketball IQ from?
I think I've been around a lot of great coaches. I think my high school coach was a great coach. My junior college, I coached with my junior college coach. He's got over 900 wins in junior college. He was a great
That's
coach.
A lot of wins.
A lot of wins, 900 wins. And then under Yates and then Coach Huggins. So I've been under a lot of great people. And I think that's also helped me, but I also played against a lot of great players. So, if you can't get better playing against guys like Tim Hardaway, Nick Anderson, Marcus Liberty, if you can't get better playing with those guys, you won't get better.
Did you ever play against Isaiah?
Never played against Isaiah Thomas. Never. Man. Never. I wish I would have, but I've actually missed it a couple of times because in the summer league, he used to always come play in the summer leagues. Isaiah, when I was in high school, he used to come back and play. Him and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
So it used to be some fun games.
You ever play against Michael Jordan?
I was on the same team with him in the summer league.
Really? Okay.
Playboy, you remember Playboy magazine?
Yeah.
We was on Playboy magazine.
Really?
Yes.
Now, okay. You gotta give us the story. I mean, any good stories? Pick up ball with MJ?
Man, all my eyes was probably big as apples, right, when I was watching him play. He was great, man.
How many years in the league was he at that point?
2. I think he was 2 or 3.
2 or 3?
He was fresh. Yeah. Actually, it was probably his second year in the league.
Okay.
It was the second year in the league when I was in high school.
Yeah. He was tearing up the league, too.
Oh, man, Michael Jordan was a bad boy.
And the crazy thing is, Michael became such a big part of Chicago basketball culture that people thought he was from Chicago.
They did.
That's a crazy thing.
They did. And he used to be everywhere, though.
Yeah.
One thing about Mike, he loves to gamble.
Yeah.
So you'll catch him like some of the gyms we used to play at, where all the big money people at. Used to be a lot of gambling going on, as far as shooting free throws and stuff like that. Mike was a big time gambler.
Yeah, I got it. When we get off the podcast, I'll tell you my Michael Jordan gambling story. I got one. I wasn't involved, but I was around. Back to your first season in 1988, 1989. You guys were playing at the Gardens.
Cincinnati Gardens.
What was that like playing at the Gardens? I know there are a lot of Bearcat fans here who remember the Cincinnati Gardens. There are also some younger Bearcat fans that have no idea what it was like at the Cincinnati Gardens. Can you talk about that?
Dark and cold. It used to be dark and cold up in there. The floor.
Was there ice?
Yes.
Okay, talk about that.
We were playing on top of ice, so you know how it is. You know, like before a game, you go over there like around 11 to have a shoot around. You know, they got ain't no lights on. You know, it's dim in there.
Yep.
And it's cold up in there. So it used to be a trip playing on that cold floor when we used to have to practice in there, getting ready for a game.
Now, did you know when you were playing your first year in the Gardens that the Shoemaker Center was being built and that you guys was that part of a recruiting pitch?
Yeah, that was part of it.
Okay.
They had told me, you know, when they recruited me that, you know, this is where we were going to be playing at my junior year, and then by my senior year, the Shoemaker should be up by then. So and they showed it to me, and I said, yeah, I got to go there.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason I came here as well.
Definitely. And we're going to talk about the Shoemaker here in a second. This segment is sponsored by the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Cincinnati. They have a new flexible bachelor's degree that will allow you to graduate conveniently and affordably, and you won't lose any credit or have to start over. So your first season, you guys go 15-12, a little bit of a tough season. You guys did beat Xavier by 10, which was big. Now, coming from Chicago, and I've talked to a lot of different former players that have come on the podcast, and I'd love to ask them about the Crosstown shootout. When you got here and you heard about the shootout and you actually played in it, I mean, how intense was it versus what you expected it was going to be like?
Well, it was real intense. It was almost like a championship type game.
Yeah, for sure.
Every time you play those guys, we play each other. It's a championship. So always leading up into that game, you know, you hearing it from the crowd. You getting ready. You getting your mind set for that game. It's always a big game going into that Xavier game. So I played in it twice. I'm 1-1 in it.
Yep.
So that first year in it, I think they had Stan Kimbrough, Jamal Walker at the guard spot. So I had to go against those guys.
Tough.
We ended up beating those guys. We ended up beating that team that year. But man, it's always exciting in them crosstown shootout games. Just the week leading up into it.
Oh, no question about that. It's a different practice.
It's a different practice.
Leading up to the shootout.
Definitely.
So that first year, you guys lose to Florida State.
Yes.
By 1.
George McLeod.
Yep. They were number 8 in the country.
Yes.
You lose to Louisville, who's number 4 in the country.
LeBradford Smith.
Yes, LeBradford Smith.
LeBradford Smith was bad, yeah.
But you guys there were so many games where you guys were so close to like.
Oh, we were there.
Turning that corner, but just never could get over that hump.
We were right there with all the top teams in the league. Like you said, I don't think we never. Well, I say one time we got beat real bad. Southern Miss beat us pretty bad.
Okay.
They had Clarence Weatherspoon.
They
were pretty good.
He was
year.
tough.
They were tough that year. But the league, for the most part, the league, it was a great league, man. Yeah. We had some South Carolinas. You had Memphis State at the time, Louisville, Virginia Tech.
Yep.
So it was a lot of great teams.
Was that Bimbo Coles?
Bimbo Coles.
Yeah. Virginia Tech. Some great players
we had great
in the
players.
league.
Brent Price.
Man.
Remember that name?
Of course. So Tony Yates gets fired your first year.
Yes.
And did you see that coming? Did you have?
Well, we knew going into that year that he was kind of.
He had to win.
He had to win.
So
we kind of knew.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about going into your second year and the process of Bob Huggins getting the job and what that was like. Because, you're recruited from Chicago to come here and play for the Bearcats. New coach comes in, and some players don't always react with the new coach, and they decide to leave. How was that interaction with Hugs in that first meeting? You're shaking your head. Talk a little bit about that.
It was tough because leading up into him getting hired, we used to play in the field house.
Okay.
Lawrence Field
Yep,
House.
Lawrence.
And, so it was the off season during the time. And somebody came in and said, man, they finna hire this Huggins, some guy named Bob Huggins. I said, Huggins, who is that? And they was like, oh, he like Bobby Knight. And I was like, he like Bobby Knight. I'm like, if he like Bobby Knight, I'm transferring.
I'm out of here.
I'm not staying here. And all of us was like that. Lou, Lavertis, we was like, man, if he like Bobby Knight, we out of here. And so he ended up coming. And I tell you a story, the first conditioning day. I'm still on the bubble about if I'm staying. I'm like, man, I might get up out of here. And so he told us, hey, tomorrow morning, we got 6 a.m., we out on the track. Make sure y'all there at 6 a.m. in the morning, blah, blah, blah. I didn't show up. I said, man, I'm not going to run those. I'm not going.
Mm-hmm.
So the secretary, I got a phone call from the secretary probably about noon, 1 o'clock something. Bob Huggins want to see you. You need to come to the office. Coach want to see you. So I gets over to the office, and I'm sitting in the office. He's sitting in the office waiting on me. Closed the door behind me, and he says, why didn't you make the run today? I said, man, I couldn't get up. I said, I couldn't get up. He said, well, I tell you what, we got running at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you ain't there, come by here at 12 o'clock and get your bus ticket home.
That sounds like Hugs.
I was there at 5:45, stretching.
Right. Was everybody else there?
Everybody else was there. Yeah, everybody else was there.
That's funny. No, what was that conversation like? I mean, as you guys, obviously you're going through conditioning and all that, but Coach Huggins had to address the team and kind of tell them his philosophy, and what was that like?
He just talked about being tough and the way that the style of play that we were going to play. He said we were going to get after people, we were going to press people, we were going to trap people, and he said he just wanted us to be physical. He said and his thing was he was going to get us a great guy to come in and get us stronger.
Yeah.
As far as the conditioning and stuff. And I think, who was it at the time? It might have been
Mickey Marotti?
Mick Marotti, yeah, it was Mick.
Mickey Marotti.
Brought Mick in
Bodies by Marotti.
Bodies by Marotti. So he ended up bringing Mick in to get us together. But that first meeting, man, when we listen to him talk, you can hear his passion. And then a lot of the things I do as a coach right now comes from him. So
like what? Give me an example.
I like to press. I'm a pressing coach. I'm a trap. I like to trap. Some of the offensive stuff, the motion stuff, I run a lot of the motion stuff, 5 out. So he's got a big influence on me in my coaching career.
Do you still communicate with Hugs?
Yes, we talk every blue moon.
Yeah, I'm sure he's pretty busy with coaching, and you're busy, but so I do want to dive into the second year a little bit more, and then I do want to take it back to a story from the first year, but. Your second year, one thing that I remember is, and I've told you about this before, is you were not only a big guard, which you didn't see a lot of, but you were a big guard, and you had this style about you. I've told you about that. You had the Big Daddy Kane box going. You had the black shoes with the white socks.
Yes.
You had the goatee trimmed up. Where'd the style come? Is that a Chicago thing, or it was just you?
I think during that time it was just the style at the time.
Yeah.
I had a lot. When I let my hair grow out, it was curly at the time.
Uh-huh.
so Lou Banks was my barber at the time.
Yeah, I've heard Lou the barber.
So Lou did a great job at cutting my hair because I couldn't find a guy in town that could cut my hair during that time.
Gotcha.
And he was the one guy that could cut it. But we all had the box fades.
Everybody had the box.
We all had the little bitty shorts on.
Yep.
With the tights under.
Which the short shorts have come back.
I see. Yeah.
Which is crazy,
it's
but
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, you had the, and for a while, I don't know how long you wore it, but I always remember you had the knee sleeve.
I wore the knee sleeve.
Like Jordan?
Like Jordan, yeah.
No, but you definitely had the style.
Yes.
And that was a big part. And I always say this. I think if you look at Bearcat basketball today in 2022, and you kind of rewind all the way back, we can look back at your guys' team and look at the opening of the Shoemaker Center and look at that first team in the first game in the Shoemaker Center. To me, that was kind of the start of everything for this next wave of great Bearcat basketball to where we are today. In that first game, the Minnesota game.
Tough team. They was fresh off of Sweet 16 that year. They had just coming off the Sweet 16 that year. Physical, big, strong.
What was the coach's name? Was it Haskins or?
Haskins.
Haskins.
Yep. Coach Haskins.
Good coach.
Great coach. But that got us off to a jump start, man.
And what were they ranked that year? I did have that. coming in, they were ranked number 20 in the country.
Yeah, they were 20 in the country. Like I said, they had just come off the Sweet 16 run.
Yep.
20th in the country, had the top guard, the number one guard, defensive guard, who had over 100 steals the year before in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Melvin Newbern.
Yep, I remember that name.
So that was my matchup for the day. So I was really, really looking forward to that game, going against him.
Now, let me ask you this question. So there's one thing where, you guys, new coach, a lot of new guys, new system, first game in the arena, you're playing the number 20 team in the country, a lot of good players, great established coach. Did you guys really, truly believe going in that game that you were going to win that game?
Yes, we did.
Why is that?
Because we knew we were pretty good. Lou Banks was coming off a great year. We had Lou Banks coming back. We had Keith Starks. We had our 4 guys coming back from the year before. So we felt like we were going to get better as well. And we was tough. We was all about the same size. We was all 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", probably Keith Starks. But we just felt like, man, that we was gonna open up the building right. We was gonna have a good year. My senior year it was all our senior years. But even though they had a red shirt, they had a prop year.
Okay.
They had a prop year, so we just felt like we could compete with those guys.
And that game, was back and forth, and I think the energy in the Shoemaker Center just kept building and building and building, and it led to that last play. And if you ask me, one of the most important games in the arena ever is that game. Yep. And you were such a big part of not only getting to that last moment, 0.8 seconds left.
Yep.
You were the person, you're basically the quarterback of the team.
Yes.
You're taking the ball out of bounds. You become the most important person on the court. And I think what gets lost in the shuffle is Steve Sanders hits an amazing shot. But people often forget the amazing pass that was made. Let's talk about that play, because I'm going to put a lot of money on the line that Steve Sanders was not the first option.
No.
Break down that play coming out of the timeout with Hugs.
Actually, Hugs, he drew up the play for Lou Banks.
Okay.
And they did a good job of switching on Lou Banks, and it enabled Steve Sanders to pop open to the corner. And the defender that was on me I think it was Burton that was on me at the time. He's 6'7", 6'8". I couldn't throw a direct pass to him because he's so big. I ended up having to bounce it.
Yes.
I threw an inbound bounce pass to him, and it kind of went straight to Steve, right into his shot. So it was I would say it was a great pass. When I see that play, I always say, look at the pass.
Absolutely. But people often forget about that pass.
Look at the pass.
In making, I remember you ball faked,
yep.
and his hands went like this, because you ball faked in the direction. I think there was Lou, Keith Starks, and Vert was on the court.
Yep.
And then you threw it because I think even they knew Steve wasn't going to be the main guy,
right.
So the focus was on the other 3. And just a great pass and a great shot. And then, you were excited. You were jumping around. What was that moment like?
Man, that was great, man. I was looking for somebody to hug at the time. And then luckily Huggins came by, and I ended up hugging him. So yeah, that was a great moment. I always look at that video, and that's the one thing that stands out to me is when I'm hugging Bob Huggins.
Yeah.
It's his first game. We got him his first win. So that was a great day, man.
And I think a lot of people around the country in basketball, teams, players, knew at that point this is a different Bearcat program. If they come to the Shoemaker Center, they're in for a battle.
Definitely.
And that toughness you talked about.
Definitely.
That toughness has become a thread of Bearcat basketball, right. And I think it started that game.
We had got to the point after that game is, it used to be several guys, like if we're warming up playing against another team, and it was one instance that I think Lavertus Robinson knew a guy on Tulane, Christensen, I can't think of his first name, but he was their top player, but he was out of Chicago as well. And I come out the locker room, and I see him talking to him. And I said, I grab him and say, hey, man, we're talking to him after the game.
Yeah.
We got to beat him first.
Right.
So our attitude started being different when Hugs got here.
Yep.
You're right. So, we started taking on his personality, the toughness and all that stuff, yeah. So it was fun playing for him, man.
Yeah, no question. In that year, and even looking at your senior year, 1989-1990 season, you guys lost to number 13 team in the country, Duke.
Yep, that was a great game.
You guys beat Louisville at Freedom Hall.
Yep.
They were number 8 in the country.
Yep.
Freedom Hall, one of my favorite arenas ever to be at, to play in.
You love their rims? The soft rims?
The soft rims.
They had the soft rims.
And the thing is, when I played for the Bearcats, Louisville had a stretch where they weren't very good. Mm-hmm. They were like on that down with Denny Crum going out, and I got in the game.
So you played in it.
Oh man, those fans just felt like they were just like
Freedom Hall.
Right at Freedom Hall.
Freedom Hall was the best.
Was that one of your favorite places to play?
Freedom Hall, definitely. My worst place to play is Memphis. Never liked to play in Memphis.
You said you didn't?
I didn't.
You did not?
I've never had 2 years. I didn't never play well in Memphis.
Yeah.
2 years.
What was it about Memphis?
I don't know. I just never played well there. It's funny. I just never played well. I don't know what it was, but I never had a good game in Memphis.
What arena was it at Memphis? Because we played in the Pyramid. You didn't play in the Pyramid, right?
Coliseum.
You played in the Coliseum?
Coliseum.
Was that Finch?
Yes.
Finch.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Man, some great coaches back then, man. We brought up some great names. Now, your last year, you guys lose to Xavier, who was number 23 at the time, and that was the red uniform game.
Broke out the red uniform.
Man, those silky red.
They were sweet.
You still have that jersey?
Yes.
Do you?
The red and the black one.
Do you really?
Yeah, they framed. They had home frame.
Classic. They haven't brought those back. They haven't retro. Okay.
No.
We need to make a call and make that happen. We got to retro those uniforms. And here's the other thing too. And I talked about your senior year, that team kind of changing the trajectory of Bearcat basketball. I think you guys making the NIT was a huge step, because prior to that, you guys really hadn't made, you didn't make the NIT, you didn't make any tournament the year before.
Right.
And even Roger McClendon talked about, the struggles of postseason, but you guys make the NIT your senior year. I believe you lost to DePaul.
Yes.
Your senior year. But that was a big step, I think, forward.
It was, man. The thing that I remember most is just losing that DePaul game, man, when we did make it to the NIT. And that year we lost 4 games at the buzzer. 4 games at the buzzer. And my last game of my career in Cincinnati was lost at the buzzer. At DePaul.
At DePaul.
So, yeah, it was tough, man.
Yeah.
It was tough, bro.
When you look back on your career as a Bearcat, how do you look back on your career, and what are your thoughts on it?
Well, when I look back on it, man, I thought I was a big part of getting this thing turned around.
No question.
Me, Lou Banks, Keith Starks, Vert. I thought we had a big influence on getting it going in the right direction from where they was when we got here.
Yep.
But man, I thought I had 2 great years. To score 989 points in 2 years.
A lot of points.
In
a short period.
My joke I always say is, if I'd have played 4 years, I'd have caught Oscar Robertson.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points, bro.
That's a lot of points, Trey. Why'd you switch to number 4 your senior year?
Like I told you, my first year I liked it. Kenny Smith was one of my favorite players. My second favorite player, Joe Dumars and Ron Harper.
Yep. Ron Harper, I could see that.
And
totally.
everybody used to always tell me, man, you look like Ron Harper. So 4, that's when I went to 4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did you ever get to play against Ron?
Actually, my senior year, he was my camp counselor at ABCD camp.
Oh, did you tell him?
Yes.
You told him you wore 4?
Yes.
What did he say?
Yeah. No, I seen him afterward. This was when I was in high school.
Oh, so okay, I got you.
Before
I got
he was
you.
my
So you
camp
never.
counselor. Then when I got to UC, I 30, and then I went to 4. But I did run into Ron Harper again, because I went to a couple Bulls. When Corey was with the Bulls, ran into Ron Harper a couple times, and that's when I let him know, hey, man, you used to be my favorite player, man.
Gotcha. That's good stuff. He had a great NBA career.
Yeah, he was great
with those Bulls teams.
He was tough.
He's a slept-on player with those Bulls teams, that championship run. Just some of the little things that he did, because you look at Pippen and Jordan and what they did and many things that people don't know about.
But if you think about it, he was one of the top players when Michael Jordan was in the league.
Yeah, he
was. He was one of the
with
top
the Cavs,
players,
right?
Until he hurt his knee.
Yeah, yep.
He was one of the top guys.
Yep.
So.
Out of Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio, yeah.
Yep.
Bad boy.
Then Miami, Oxford. Let's speak a little bit about one of your former teammates who's passed away. I want you to talk a little bit about Herb Jones.
One of my favorite guys, man. Herb Jones, he was my roommate his junior year when he first got here during the summertime. He was my roommate.
Yeah.
You know, I was a grad assistant at the time. I was finishing up school. The dude loved to fish.
Yeah, he loved his fishing.
Loved to fish. Man, one of the nicest dudes you ever want to meet.
Yep.
I have nothing bad to say about that guy, man, because he didn't drink, he didn't smoke nothing,
Nope.
He didn't do nothing. All he did was like to go fishing.
Yep.
And man, when I heard, and the thing that I can remember most, man, recently is he called me probably a couple months ago.
And I am so glad, and I talked to Terry Nelson and Corey Blunt, and I am so glad that I had an opportunity to talk to him and actually archive his story, his full journey, because, and even Herb said this, he's never told the full story and the full journey. And I'm glad we got it archived, man.
I'm glad you do too, because I want to see that.
He's a Hall of Famer, man. And
Definitely.
And such an important part
Hall of Fame person.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Just a kind, gentle, like, and even when I'm doing the interview, I'm like, for being such a high-level great player, he was just so like calm and cool. We're talking about the Final Four game against Michigan, and he's just like, yeah, it's just another game, you know. Just, you know, got to wake up and go play. I'm like, what?
all he was going to do was put them shoulders on you.
Oh, yeah. Herb, man.
Herb Jones.
Miss him. He was tough. Oh, yeah, he definitely will be sorely missed amongst the Bearcat Nation here. So I want to ask you a couple questions here. 3 questions in particular. Kind of quick questions, quick answers, except for the first one. The first one is, give the Bearcat fans your best Bob Huggins story during your career.
My best Bob Huggins story?
Yeah, let's see. I'm looking around the crowd. It could be clean. It could be a little dirty. It could be.
I'm trying to think of a good one. I have to think. I think a couple of them might be X.
A little X-rated.
Let me come back to that.
Yeah, you think about that one.
Yeah, let me think about that one.
You gotta look around and see how many young people in here. So, okay, my second question for you is, when you played for the Bearcats and you were getting pumped up and ready for the game, what music did you listen to? Like, what was the pump-up artist that you listened to get ready for a game?
Jay-Z.
Back in '80?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Jay-Z.
Jay-Z.
I was listening to Jay-Z back then.
That's good. Dr. Mills in the back said it was Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah, I think it was Jay-Z back then. I used to come out listen to him in my Walkman.
Okay. Oh, yeah, the Walkman, right?
Walkman, yeah.
You got to flip the tape over. Hey, you know what's so crazy about this is, like, we laugh at that now. We laugh at having a Walkman, but when you had a Walkman back then, it was the coolest thing in the world. So now, you know, technology, we got these phones, and we can, you know, digitally, we got our music, and, you know, we got our earbuds. You know, like 10, 15 years from now, kids are going to laugh at this.
They are.
They're going to laugh at earbuds like, you wore what?
Right.
That's crazy.
You old. That's what they tell me now. I'm old.
I don't even know what technology is going to be like years from now. Like, just how we live life. I don't even want to think about that, but they're going to look at this stuff as being old.
Oh, it's going to definitely be different. It's going to definitely be different.
All right, my next question. During your time as a Bearcat, okay, your junior and senior year, if you could pick one Bearcat teammate, if you were going to battle and you could take one Bearcat teammate with you to battle, no matter what battle it is, and you know we're not going to lose because I've got this guy on my side, who is it?
Lou Banks.
Sweet Lou.
Sweet Lou.
Camden, New Jersey's finest.
No doubt.
Why is that?
Just his toughness. You know, I can tell you a story on that. You know, I think we was walking campus one day, and I bumped into this girl, and her boyfriend got mad. And Lou stepped up for me.
Uh-oh.
Because dude was a big dude now. Lou kind of stepped up and got in dude's face and like, it ain't going down. And dude backed down.
He backed down?
He backed down. So Lou Banks is the guy, if I'm going to any battle, Lou Banks is the guy I'm going with.
Lou Banks.
Lou Banks.
That's a good one. And definitely a great Bearcat, too.
Yes.
All right, back to Bob Huggins. You got one good Bob Huggins story for us.
Well, probably the one. Bob used to put on the show now, coming in the locker rooms after games. I think the one that I probably can remember most is, you remember Michael Joyner?
Yeah, from Hollywood, Florida.
Hollywood, Florida.
Yep.
He was a freshman at the time. I guess we come in the locker room, we
He's a lefty, right? Lefty three-point shooter.
Yeah, we sitting in our start. I think we had just lost. So we come in the locker room, Hugs is pissed. So he's telling everybody, stop doing what you're doing. We trying to get dressed and get back to the dorm. I'm trying to get dressed. So He said, hey, stop doing what you're doing, stop getting dressed. I think Michael Joyner was still getting dressed. So he sprinted over to Michael Joyner's locker and got down and told him he would tattoo his ass. He said, I would tattoo you. And you know how Hugs, all of the different arm gestures.
Oh, yeah.
He's swinging arms and everything. And all I'm doing is I got a towel in my locker, and I got the towel over my face because I'm cracking up. We all laughing.
Yep.
But that was the first time I seen him do that. That was the first time he ever came out his bag, and you see like, oh, he crazy, man. This dude is crazy.
Definitely.
But that probably was one of the best things that I saw when he got in his face and he told him he'd tattoo him.
You were like, what? Because that happened a lot when I played. Like, that was the start of it. But when I played and beyond that, man, he was in guys' face. He would not back down. He didn't care.
Time.
He didn't care who you were, where you were from. Could be from the hood.
Yeah, he don't care.
Didn't matter.
He don't care. Hugs was a tough guy, though. Hugs was tough.
Yep, he was.
He was a tough guy.
I got a little surprise for you. Blast from the past, which you might still have. I found the program from your senior year. You remember this?
Yes.
This was, look at this, Bob Huggins' first year.
Yes.
Bob Huggins on a young, thin Bob Huggins.
Yes.
And there you are.
Yes, sir.
Back in the day, Sweet Lou, Michael Joyner.
Michael Joyner.
Right there. Some good day. Orlando Williams. A lot of
B.J. Ward.
Yep. That B.J. Ward was a funny dude.
Definitely. Milwaukee's finest.
A funny dude. Lastly, man, I want to talk about this current Bearcat basketball team. We have a new head coach in Wes Miller. Have you had a chance to talk to Wes Miller?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Great
Talk about that.
Great dude, man. I like his vibe. I like what he's doing over there. I went over there and watched practice a couple times. It's just a matter of time. He's gonna get us to where we need to go. I think after a couple recruiting classes, he get his guys in. He's a great coach, man. He does some great things on the offense. He does some great things on the defense. And I love the way he communicates with his kids.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest things that when I sat back and watched him and watched how he interacted with his team, he's gonna be big time here.
Now let me ask you this: you as a coach, and you've been coaching for a long time between Cincinnati State and Winton Woods. Wes Miller takes over a Bearcat program, has to go out and do basically speed recruiting. He has to get a bunch of guys, look in the portal, look around, has to re-recruit the existing guys.
Yep.
Some guys left. Tari Eason went, other places. The Gabe Madsen went somewhere else, but he did a great job, I think, of not only jumping in the portal and grabbing some guys to fill some spots, and then getting, guys like, Mikey Saunders and Mason Madsen and those guys to stay here and play for the Bearcats. But I think what people have to understand and be patient with is, it's going to take some time for him to build his culture, get the guys to play in his system, because Davenport, Madsen, Saunders, like those guys were recruited to play in Coach Brandon's system.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
And these other guys are coming from Wake Forest, Clemson. They played in other systems, and he's trying to patchwork and put a lot of things together. So there are going to be some ups and downs.
Definitely.
And Talk about building that culture as a coach.
Well, it usually takes, like, you know, his situation is going to take 2 to 3 years to get his players in.
Yep.
You know, when you're building a program, I always tell people when you're building a program, I had to build Cincinnati State. It took me 3 years to get them to, they hadn't been ranked at all the times before I got there. It took me 3 years to bring the talent in and get it rolling. So now we're national powers every year.
Right.
Same thing with him. It's going to take him 2 years, this year, next year, and probably the third year. That's when you're going to really see us in the top 25.
Yep.
Battling every year. So it takes time, man. It's a little easier now that you can go into the transfer portal and get kids. But I think he's going to do a great job once he get his team and his guys in here.
Talk a little bit about the transfer portal. What are your thoughts on that?
I love it.
Why is that?
I just think if a coach is able to leave, if a coach get a job somewhere else, he can just go.
Yep.
Why can't a kid leave? If the coach leave, why can't the kid go somewhere else?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a beautiful thing that they doing that now. That you can you can transfer. It's beautiful, man. It's good that they're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I do want to leave on as we end this podcast, I do want to give you your flowers and thank you for being a Bearcat. Congratulate you on a great career and all you've done for impacting young people and coaching at Cincinnati State Wynwoods and beyond in all those years. And thank you for staying in Cincinnati.
Hey, thank you, man. You know, you always been one of my favorite guys. One of the reasons I stay, I love Cincinnati. I never went back to Chicago.
I know.
I said, we're going to stay here. It's a good place to raise a family. That's what I've always thought. But it's been a blast, man. I wouldn't go back to Chicago for nothing in the world. I love Cincinnati. So
that's great to hear.
Yep.
And I've told Wes Miller this and his staff, and they're fully aboard on this, and that is we need to celebrate a lot of these former players and bring them back, and he's all aboard. His staff is all aboard.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that comes from him being from North Carolina, where they've got a tremendous alumni base, and they bring a lot of guys back. They celebrate them.
So he understands.
And it doesn't always have to be, you know, at North Carolina, you've got your Michael Jordans, your James Worthies, and all that, Kenny Smith. It's so many other guys that have impacted the program, you know, like yourself, Steve Sanders, and so many guys that we can bring back and celebrate, and he's all aboard that.
Well, I hope Coach Miller does that, man. That'd be great, man. That we need to get all the guys back. I know that was one of the things that when Mick took over, it kind of deteriorated a little bit. Guys wasn't coming around as much.
Right.
But hopefully all the former players come back and help celebrate Wes Miller and hopefully get him going in the right direction.
Yep. Now the Bearcats tonight have a late night game, 9:30 game. I know some Bearcat fans are not happy about the 9:30 game, but I'm gonna tell you what, you better get used to it because of the Big 12. We'll be playing some 9:30 games, so this is kind of like getting us in condition.
Warming us up to it. It's warming us up to it.
Warm up to the Big 12. So Bearcats tonight got to get back on the right track. Just lost to Tulane. Okay. Not a great performance in the first half. Did some great things in the second half. Lost a little bit of steam there in the second half on that comeback. But hopefully the Bearcats can get that energy back and get rolling tonight.
Let's go, Bearcats.
And we need to get you back. And I know you can't make the game tonight because you got to be up at 7 in the morning tomorrow.
Yes.
You got to get to bed.
I got to get to bed, yeah. I'm going to probably watch the first half, though.
Okay.
I'll watch a little bit of it.
We're going to get you back to a Bearcat game, sitting behind that bench and cheering on those guys. And let me know when you go to a practice, man. I'll go with you.
Yep.
Make sure you talk to some of the players.
Yeah,
man.
I need to get over there and talk because he asked me to come and talk to him, and I didn't get to do it the last time I was there. Me and Corey Blunt was there.
Okay.
I told him next time I come in, I'll talk to the team.
Okay, great. Bearcat fans, can we give a round of applause to Andre Tate for coming in tonight? And if you have any questions you want to ask Andre Tate, feel free to come up here after we finish up here at the podcast. I want to thank everybody for listening to another episode of the Bearcat Basketball Podcast.